Great to speak with you. So there's this new court filing. It outlines this protective order for how this DNA profiling was done, essentially attempting to protect the genealogical family tree used to pinpoint Kohberger as the suspect. So what does this tell you? Is this essentially a slam dunk for prosecutors who are saying, hey, we want to protect the rest of this family?
Right. Well, as always, Nicole, good afternoon and a pleasure to join you. This is such significant evidence and revelation, and your intro is spot on because now we deal with data analytics, we deal with numerics, we deal with science. And we know that unfortunately, in cases such as this, so tragic and heinous, individuals lie. If they're asked, did you commit a crime? Are you guilty, not guilty? Not guilty. So the process begins, and now the information is forthcoming. But when we talk about the numerics and the data analytics on what has just been revealed and disclosed to us, we're talking not million, not billion, not trillion, but octillion. I mean, that's just a numerical value that we don't even traditionally use, let's say, in mainstream society. But DNA, Nicole, does not lie. People lie. This is huge evidence. This is extremely significant for this prosecution in presenting his DNA at this crime scene. I think this individual, as smart as he thought he was, made a colossal mistake. This is the tipping point in this case.
All right. So, Debbie, I read through these documents before we do these segments, come up with these questions, and you zeroed in on exactly what I did as well. That, these documents say that when it does come to that DNA profile strain, it is 5.37 octillion more times to be seen if the defendant is the source. So again, this is a number we don't even refer to octillion because it's so great. Is there any chance, based on science, Kohberger is not the source of the DNA on that knife sheath?
As a criminologist, Nicole, I say absolutely not. This is the tipping point. This one piece of evidence, I know a lot of our viewers, our citizens who are following this closely are still wondering about the knife. Do we need the knife? What did he do with the knife? Has it been discarded? Does he have it? I think he has it, but I truly do not think we need the knife. This knife sheath, it's small, but beyond significant. It puts him right there at the crime scene. DNA doesn't lie.
We always find that, it will not always, but so many times we find that mistakes are made. And then, when it comes to science and tracking people down, obviously we know he is innocent until proven guilty. But based on the documents so far that have been released to the public that you have seen in this case, what is the most damning evidence right now against Kohberger? Is it this?
It is this, Nicole. It truly is. Again, I'm not quick to use terminology as slam dunk and sure thing. We're still daily taking a look at it all. But now when we look in totality, this becomes the focal point. This is the anchor of this case. It puts him right there at the crime scene. Yes, innocent until proven guilty, but how possibly can one, deflect away from this? There will be other things, of course, forthcoming. I think the digital evidence is also very significant here, even though, some may say, well, it's circumstantial. But again, in high-profile cases, murder cases, quadruple murder such as this, circumstantial evidence is key. We're going to find out forthcoming that there was communication, one-way communication, meaning he did reach out to two of these victims on social media. No response, no reply from them. It still shows affiliation, association, and selectivity. And we have his car in close proximity. We have the phone being pinged. All of this, Nicole, I think is going to be very important for this prosecution.
Absolutely. And again, 5.37 octillion times more likely to be the defendant's DNA on that sheath. All right, Dr. Debbie Goodman, always appreciate your expertise. Thank you.
All right. So sounds pretty definitive to me. But, there's a lot more to a case than just the DNA, though the DNA is absolutely important. And in my opinion, super duper compelling evidence as of right now. Let me click out of this. Okay. So I wonder how this transfer of DNA happened. They say it was touch DNA. Could it have been possibly from, so let's suppose this was Bryan, and let's suppose that he was wearing gloves. Is it possible that a sweaty hand, you know how when you wear gloves, your hands like they sweat, they get really nasty. Let's say that he's, according, to the evidence so far, let's say that it was him and he had to take off his gloves because he didn't have the ability to really, use his fingers like he needed to or whatever. So he takes the glove off, takes the knife out of the sheath. That could totally explain that transfer of, epithelial cells, whatever it is that's considered touch DNA. That makes a lot of sense to me. And then if it was dark, how do you get out of a room if it's completely dark? How are you supposed to grab everything that you brought in with you? Like, especially in the heat of the moment, right? That sounds like not only a lot of, anxiety, you've got all kinds of adrenaline rushing you. I can only imagine what that moment would be like. I can see how somebody would leave that behind because you've got to get out of there, right? But the whole possibility of it being a sweaty, him touching the sheath, taking off his glove, touching the sheath, leaving it there, can't find it because it was kind of found, I believe, sort of underneath her bedspread a little bit, next to Maddie's body, I believe. And to me, that makes a lot of sense if it is what it is, and it sounds like it was found in that location. Anyway, let's carry on. Let's start taking phone calls. Let me, real quick though, before I do that, I want to address a couple comments. Let's see, where was it? Okay, and it doesn't put him at the crime scene exactly. It just proves that he touched the sheath snap at some point. In my opinion, Janet, what does put him at the crime scene, one of the most riveting things in these trials these days is the FBI CAS team, the Cellular Analysis Survey team. They're the ones, for example, in Lori Vallow's trial, right, who come out with all the cellular pings, and they are able to identify in very, very close proximity, down to, I think it's 10 to 20 feet via GPS, exactly where that person went. So let's just say, for example, if the CAS team is able to identify that, let's say Bryan was in their home or around their home at a time when they were not at their home, that's going to be a pretty big deal. But it's also going to be a big deal just proving that if he was there at certain hours of the day, right? If he was there really late at night, really early in the morning, it would appear like that was, stalking. Now, I still believe it's very possible he knew somebody in the home. I totally believe that. I think that maybe he had met, if it wasn't, Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, I tend to believe the roommates, Dylan and Bethany could have somehow known him as well. I don't even want to go down that rabbit trail right now, but I think you guys know, you understand what I'm saying here. That's a very real possibility. And we have to wait till trial to find that out. So let's go ahead and start taking phone calls. Let me give you the phone number so you have it. I'm going to put it right now in the comments. All right. Okay, the phone number you're going to call is 602-456-6695. And the question is, does the new DNA evidence change your mind about BK's guilt or innocence? And there is no wrong answer here. You just air your thoughts. And in the meantime, while we wait for a call, I want to tell you something real quick. In my hometown, which is Phoenix, Arizona, back in 2015, there was a guy there were a string of freeway shootings. And if you live in Phoenix, you might remember this. There was a guy that was falsely accused. His name was, I think, Leslie Merrick Jr. And he was caught up in this whole freeway shooting situation. I mean, it was just an awful thing he got involved in because he had pawned, he had actually given his gun to the pawn shop, and somehow the ballistics matched. I believe they matched his gun. As it turns out, he was not in possession of that gun anyway, but he got linked through these ballistics to this crime. And I believe it was like 11 different shootings. He was totally falsely accused. He was later exonerated. But what was so interesting about this case is that he never denied his innocence. Every opportunity he had, it was like, I'm innocent. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. Even his dad went to bat for him and was like, my son would never do this. You don't understand. He would never do this. Like, they couldn't have been more clear about, you know, he was not involved, his innocence, you know, he was absolutely innocent. Eventually it was proven that he was innocent. And there was another guy that actually did the string of shootings, but it was hideous. Then he tried to sue the state of Arizona. I'm not sure if he won. I feel like he did win maybe $100,000, but originally there was going to be a much larger sum of money he was going for. It didn't pan out. But I'll tell you what, he never stopped talking about how innocent he was. And that is the thing that I would think, if Bryan Kohberger is for sure innocent, like he claims to be, he wouldn't stop saying how innocent he was. I don't feel it would take 6 months to give an alibi. That's in my opinion. Am I off on this one, guys? I mean, that's a long time to not give your alibi if you're innocent. Right? Anyway, please give me a call. The phone number is 602. Hold on a second. 602-456-6695. Let me make sure everything. Okay, good. It's on. In the meantime, while we wait, I'm going to address some of your comments. Exactly. Innocent people do not stay silent. Very good point, Pamela. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Hey, caller, area code 315. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for calling. What would you like to say tonight?
Hey, caller. I just want to say that I really appreciate Donna,
Yes.
and I just appreciate her.
Yeah.
And I also want to say where I stand with Bryan Kohberger, the case, like, it's very bizarre what's happening now, what's being disclosed now, you know, the new documents and that.
Right.
For one, I always thought it was a like a drug crime type of thing going on because they had drugs in the house.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying.
So I always asked about, like, that was always in the back of my head, like, cartel maybe? I don't know. But all I know is I don't think that this person did this by himself.
That's, you know, that was my original hunch also. Excuse me, as time has elapsed, I think I've accepted that more as a possibility. But for the longest time, I was like, there's no way he did this alone. That's a lot to pull off in 15 minutes, isn't it?
It is. And at first I was like, oh, he's guilty. But now I'm like, wait a minute, this is crazy. Like,
yeah.
And to be honest with you, the fact that the first words out of his mouth were, I can't wait to be exonerated.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that speaks innocence. I don't know what else does.
Do you think he was?
You know?
Do you think he was saying that just for effect, though? Because didn't he also say?
I don't think he was. I really don't. I really, honestly, in my gut, feel like he's innocent.
Gotcha.
Does he know something? Yeah, probably he does. Absolutely.
So what do you think?
Did he commit those crimes? I don't know. I'm thinking no. And I really, come on now, with the prosecution in their evidence that they don't want to disclose.
Yeah.
Why? And where's the 911 call?
I know. It seems like everything's under lock and key, and they're not going to give a single word to the public until that day, the day of the trial. It's like we get nothing until then. And that's, I think, what's creating all this swirling speculation is when you're completely, cut off from information, we get more fixated on if he's innocent or guilty, than worrying about, man, these kids lost their lives. Like, that's horrific. But I feel like prosecution, like the whole system sort of created this speculation and rumor because they cut us off of information.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. And of course the people are gonna wonder and question and, speculate.
For sure.
But I just have a gut feeling that he knows who did it, or he saw who did it.
Yeah.
And even Donna said, remember the red hair?
Yes, I know. I can't lose sight of that either. That's really bizarre. And I wonder, who is this redhead? Could it be the informant that was spoken about back in February?
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, who is this guy? And why is he part of the story? And why do we know nothing about him? I just want to know.
Right. Me too. And Murphy the dog.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I can't get over, ever. I will never get over that. But I just honestly, in my opinion, I might sound bizarre, crazy, but I'm thinking that this is a cartel involved. Only because of a few things I'm going to tell you for fact.
Yeah,
there's a lot of drug cartels in that area. Okay, California, Idaho, Nevada, Arizona. The West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I just do not think because of the fact that Xana and Bethany, they both had parents involved with a drug.
Yeah.
Charge,
good point.
like, okay, so that's where I'm coming from. Like, they have a drug charge. Both of the kids that were left alive had a drug charge with their parents.
Yeah.
Their parents had drug charges, okay?
Right.
And we all know that there was drugs coming in and out of that house, right?
Yeah. I would assume so. I would assume that there was something.
The cartel will do whatever they have to give a message, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, does Bethany and Dylan have more to do this than they want to? And also, Moscow's trying to cover up because they're a college town. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been really crooked for years, like a decade or two. So there you go with that. There's got to be something, because I really don't see someone doing that by themselves for no reason.
I know what you're saying. The only hang up I have about this cartel possibility is a cartel hit. I feel like they typically take everybody's life in the home. They wouldn't leave any survivors. To me, this was a very targeted attack. And this person who did it had a grievance with particular people in the home. Because why didn't
Right.
all of them get killed? You know what I'm saying?
But what I'm telling you
Yeah.
is I think the cartel was telling the people that were involved in the drug distribution, which was Bethany, Funk, and Dylan, whoever, I think that was their message to them. Like, you done messed up, Aaron. Like, you know?
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen to you. Was the 911 call made like 8 hours later?
Oh, I know. Hey, I totally get it.
Come on, there's a lot of questions
there
that are not
is
answered.
There is questions, but I also think there's a lot of facts. But I totally agree with you on your questions you do have. I gotcha. That does not make sense to me. And it probably never will. I don't know why anybody would wait that long unless somehow it was ingrained in them. Maybe they had had some practice, some training that, you know, in an emergency, you wait till the threat is gone. I mean, I don't know how these kids were programmed, but in my opinion, they waited a hell of a long time. What would you do?
I want to ask you personally, what would you do if you were Dylan?
Oh my gosh. You know, I've been in a tight situation like that, and I've told the story before. It was a bank robbery. It was absolutely frightening.
I've been robbed at gunpoint.
Oh my
gun to my head.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you do?
I got up and put my cigarette out in the ashtray.
Wow. Oh my gosh. It's so scary.
So I don't understand where she's coming. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Coming from experience.
Oh, I know. It doesn't make sense. I gotcha.
I mean, let's be logical, though.
Yeah.
Let's be logical, okay? We're in a house. We got roommates, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what they're doing. We don't care, right? But they do what they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
They party, da-da-da-da. Can you tell me right now that I wouldn't be able to smell the blood that seeped out of the freaking house on the cement wall?
You bring up a good point. I cut myself maybe a week ago.
Within hours?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. Yeah, it's a very strong smell when there's even a tiny bit of blood. I can't imagine several people having been, for lack of better word, like, you know.
Slaughtered?
Actually, I'm just not. Yeah, slaughtered. Thank you. I can't even imagine. You know, it's just a hideous thing to imagine. And the smell. I
can, however, imagine smelling some kind of stench.
Yeah. I gotcha. Well, I sure appreciate you calling. I'm going to try to take as many calls as I can over the next hour, but thank you so much for your insight, your opinion. I really appreciate the call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Bye. Okay. Let's see. All right, guys. In the meantime, I'll read some comments. He had a mask on. She saw bushy eyebrows, just like when someone is robbed. She says he has a big nose. People are blowing the eyebrows out of proportion. I mean, it is a very bizarre description of somebody, but does it have its place? It might, you know. Obviously, the height mattered because it did separate him possibly from other people. Like if it would have been let's say a guy who owned a Hyundai that was 5'3", he probably would have thought about. Hello, caller. This is Lauren. Yeah. How are you tonight?
Oh my gosh, I'm so lucky. I feel like I won the lottery.
Oh, well, I feel like I won the lottery. I'm glad you called.
Great.
Yeah.
I just have a little bit different take on all of this because I mean, I'm very defensive. Like on a defense, I mean, I worked for law firms, so I've always, come in from the defense point of view. Do you know what I mean? So, it's like, let's see everything first. Let's put it all together and then approach it in that way. Mm-hmm. I guess for this, I would like to know more about like Bryan's day-to-day, activities up until this point. Like his background, like I want every single minute, like what they did from midnight on the 12th, through noon on the 13th.
Right.
Where was everybody? Do you know what I mean? Every single solitary minute. I want to know that so bad.
I do too.
And then even further back, I'd like to know his school schedule.
Yeah.
What was Bryan's week like? Like what time were his classes? What time did he have his office meetings? What time did he meet with these, professors that couldn't stand him clearly at the end? I just feel like one of them was one. I feel very strongly that one of those professors turned him in. Like they put him on the radar. Like we need to watch this guy.
That's
what I'm saying? He's driving a white car. He's like looking at all the stuff that's going on, like when they're in their office. I'm sure they had some kind of connection, don't you think, to be with the police stations, not like at the police stations, but like, wasn't there something that they were connected to? Do you know what I mean? At on campus,
right?
To have that connection. So maybe he was getting tidbits of information, and then he was like, they got the, you know what I mean? They're not on to me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. That kind of thing. And then the car thing. So I do watch one of these YouTubers.
Yes.
And Truth and Transparency. Okay, I got to give her, because she's the defense. So I'm looking at it from that point of view. And this car that they had a picture of, well, she had a different picture. It looked like the same car. So I'm really kind of like wondering, is that really that car in that picture? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm wondering if because of everybody getting excited, they're like seeing things, and then they tell you, this is it, this is it, this is it. And you know what I mean? And you're like, nope, that wasn't it. And we've all fixated on this, poor car. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
When it wasn't. Not that Bryan didn't drive a car.
Right.
And then I think to myself, did he work with someone? Okay. Now, I mean, this is what we need to find out. Did he know Bryan Kohberger? Now, yes, he was a soldier. I will give it to you. I'm military, ex-military myself. You know what I'm saying? Leave the guy alone, leave the guy alone, leave the guy alone. But I mean, was there a connection there? Do you know what I'm saying? Do we need to explore that relationship? Because wouldn't it be a kick if he did have an alibi and that guy was his alibi? Do you know what I mean?
That would be a trip.
If he was.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
Would be a trip. Oh my God. But but now they have to get all the electronic things from him. You know what I mean? Putting that piece together to prove it. And then the sheath thing, this is very upsetting. Yeah, it was there. Yeah. Is there a possibility it could have been there already? Like he had been in the house at some time. Maybe he gave it, for a trade for drugs. This knife. I mean, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
I gotcha.
And that's how it got there. I know I'm talking stupid. My husband's like, this is so dumb. But
No. Hey, you're just free thinking, I get what you're saying. And you're exploring all possibilities. I gotcha. Yeah.
And I want to know motive. I mean, I want to know, how did these kids get to be the chosen ones? I mean, where did that come from?
What if it's as simple? Yeah. What if it's as simple as he interacted with them on one occasion and he became so fixated on them. Let's just imagine for a moment.
Yeah,
and he couldn't, and
and then that,
Yes. It may be the rejection. If he was rejected by one of them, let's say Maddie, for example.
I totally believe Maddie was the target. I totally believe. I not Kaylee. Kaylee was coming in after her.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I feel that Maddie was there. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And then something happened, some altercation, and then Kaylee came in after. Then that, then there was that confrontation. But do you think that the girls were hit first, or was it Ethan and Zena in the floor? Because I'm wondering if DoorDash did come, they like I have this vision. This is what I see. Ethan went to DoorDash, did the DoorDash, and saw him, and he was like, "Hey, man, you know what I mean? Whatnot?" And then he starts to back up because now he's got to go up that step, back up. Like wasn't there like a ping pong table there with all the, you know, with ping pong?
Oh, like the beer pong.
We're doing, you know, that
or something. Yeah.
Right. That was all set up.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's not a lot of space. You got to go through, and he starts backing up to back up to the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there's probably yelling, screaming going on, and everything. And and then Gina gets up, like, what's going on? He attacks, you know, Ethan, gets up in the neck because he's a big guy. You know, I'm thinking going up. He falls down, and then, you know, she puts her hands up, and that's where she gets it with the fingers.
The fingers, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then and then he goes after her. And then he comes out after, and then this is the thing. And then Jillian comes out and says, "Ethan, stop making noise," because she's thinking there's a party going on here.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Because and then she goes to her door. He doesn't realize she's in a door, and he goes up the stairs, and maybe he hears the girl talking, and then gets it that way. You know, just does it that way. I mean, there's so many theories. It'll be interesting to see how they.
It's going to be interesting.
Put it together.
Right. Yeah.
The timeline.
I'm eager to know.
Everything.
Yeah, I'm eager to know the order, but also, you know, the DoorDash thing was a monkey wrench thrown into the mix.
Right.
I wasn't expecting that. That was out of nowhere. I still can't make heads or tails of it, and how it fits into the timeline is totally weird. So I want to know more about that for sure. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm with you because, like I said, I worked for a defense law firm.
Okay.
In Wisconsin for many years, and it's just like you want a freaking timeline down to the minute. You turned left, and then what happened? And then that, then what happened? Do. I want it all, not and stuff. And then that psychic, Donna.
Yes.
Donna is so good, very good.
Yeah, she is.
But there's this part of me that likes to resist her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like doubting Thomas. You're like, are you sure you're not getting the ones with the what was that other case? Oh, the one with the
Murdoch
out in North Carolina or South Carolina.
Murdoch. Yeah.
Because of the red hair. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see that because too.
Yes.
You know what I mean? As like that guy.
Well, I will say for anybody listening, if you followed the Lori Vallow case, the Lori Vallow trial just recently, Donna's info was even more spot on than I ever imagined. It was it was freaking unreal. You got to watch the video I did on it. I mean, it will send chills through your spine. It was exact. So I trust her insight. She says Bryan's the dude. And I tend to believe her because I haven't seen her be wrong about that important stuff. I just haven't. Like she's spot on.
Oh no, it'll be good. And some, like again from a legal, it'll be interesting to see how they get these motions and this, that, and the other thing, and what gets thrown out and what doesn't get thrown out.
Right.
And I guess today, and the reason I'm calling is I find it interesting though because they verified all this, that the sheath was, that was his DNA and blah blah blah. But I kind of like knew that, so I wasn't as surprised.
Right.
I'm like, I thought we all knew this already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's my point. So
for sure,
you do a great show.
Thank you.
I didn't want to keep you too long here, and I appreciate you letting me speak with you.
Well, I thank you so much for calling and airing your thoughts, and it was so good to talk to you. Take care.
Yes, thank you so much. You take care.
Thanks. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. Yeah, that was interesting, and I understand people's hangups. There are things, there are questions for sure. I just feel that there's still a lot of really good points. From the little we do know, we have to remember the PCA is a very, very tiny piece of this pie. And when prosecution goes to trial, they have an entire case to lay out. And with like Lori Vallow, right, for her case. I don't know if you ever read the PCA of like Chad Daybell, but there was a little bit in there that we saw in court play. But there's a story you find out in court. This is Lauren. Thanks for calling. What would you like to say tonight?
Hi. I've been sitting here listening to this, and I guess I kind of have a different opinion, just like everybody else.
Yes.
I feel that they do have the right guy.
Yeah.
I believe in Donna.
Yeah. Oh,
100%.
Sure. Yes.
She is spot on.
Yeah.
But who is going to go to a college and do what he did to those poor kids in a frenzy, and then take this knife sheath and think to stuff it under, part of, under Maddie and the other part under the comforter, and go, okay, we're gonna frame Bryan Kohberger,
yes,
and we're gonna hijack his car and we're gonna drive it here so many times, so we can make it look real.
Yeah.
And there's just too many things that don't add up to it being somebody else.
Right. I appreciate you saying, yes, I appreciate you saying that. That's how I feel. I feel like it just comes natural. All this incriminating info just lines up, bam, 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 down to even the behavior. So why are we going to look elsewhere when they've got a guy and he fits the profile? He was rejected from society. He was pissed off. He was tired of how things were. He didn't want one more rejection in life. It adds up. And so I feel like, in my opinion, why are we looking all over the place when this guy could very well be it? He talked about his mental issues when he's 15 years old online. He had a depersonalization issue. I mean, it really, truly, I feel like he spoke openly in those forums about how different he felt from society. But we're not going to believe that. We're going to look all over the place, here and there and everywhere. I feel it's right in front of us.
Choose him to frame. Why would they just pick this poor dude from Pennsylvania, and they're going to pick on him and bully him or whatever they're saying, and they're going to frame him.
Right.
Our court system, he is innocent until proven guilty, but absolutely everything adds up.
It fits.
Everything adds up.
I agree. It fits for sure. I mean, from the first thing to, just so many things. We've got 12 visits to the home. He followed 3 victims on Instagram, 2 on Spotify. His car was moving into the direction on King Road at 2:44 a.m. It's like the DNA tested positive. He had the car in question. It was seen on surveillance. Like, this is a litany of reasons to say he's their guy. He's their guy.
Yeah, and I think so too. And when in the beginning, when they thought possibly Kaylee was the target, I truly believe that Maddie heard that Kaylee heard the commotion, and she went to help Maddie. I do believe she was the target, and Kaylee went in there to save her.
Yeah.
And that's how the two ended up in the bed, because otherwise she loved Murphy. I don't think she would have just left her dog in the room.
Yeah. No
by her,
kidding.
that's just my personal opinion about her puppy, but that's how I think that went down. And I don't think anybody can really make sense of why it took 8 hours and why other people knew at 8:30 or 9:30 in the morning, whatever time it was, before the police got there. I don't think any of us are going to make sense of this, because they're trying to protect what information they have, even though we want to know what's going on and why it took so long and everything like this. There's certain things they've got to protect to make their case strong, so he doesn't get out and do this to other people if he hasn't already done it before.
Right. I know. And, I've kind of had discussions in the comments from the video we did last week, Donna and I. There's been people to give multiple reasons why they think that he was framed. And I'm just going back and forth going, if he gets off, let's just at the very chance that he did what he's accused of right now, we better all sleep with one eye open. That is scary.
Yeah.
It was heinous.
Why would somebody just choose him and go through everything just to frame this one guy? That is so, it's just baloney.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
We're just going to frame this one guy. Let's pick him out.
Right.
Yeah, I don't believe it. I think it does point to him.
I think it fits.
And there's too much evidence showing that there, well, that's just my opinion. I believe he is guilty through and through.
I do too. I truly do. I like to hear the other side because I still think there's some things that don't fit all together, but for the most part, it does fit.
I agree.
It does fit, Absolutely.
Yeah. There's too much that we do know for it not to fit.
Right. Right. And then I also think about all these other people whose lives have been really messed with, right? We had Jack Decor, we had Jack Showalter, we had Enan Harsh, we had all these people. Everybody's pointing the finger at them. And as it turned out, they were more than likely innocent. But then still there's speculation going their way. Oh, I still think they did it. It's like they've been cleared. They've been long cleared. I just don't think it's fair.
Right.
I don't think it's fair,
And as far as Brett Kopaka, I think and this might sound far-fetched, but I think Bryan had something to do with what happened to him.
Oh.
I realize he has the post-traumatic stress disorder, and I know what that's like. And yes, things can go from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think Bryan saw him as a scapegoat, and he possibly could have made situations worse or made that call saying, this is what's happening and this is what's happening because of the disturbance that happened before.
Okay.
And I think that Kopaka possibly was on to Bryan. I think he was a very smart man.
Okay.
And I think he was possibly on to him, and Bryan found a way to have something, him being shot, saying he was a threat because, he's had issues with that before. And that might be really, really far-fetched, but I just play this over and over in my mind, and I really feel bad for him and his family and them trying to drag him into this crap.
It's terrible. It truly is.
It is.
Yeah, we have to remember.
I've wondered about that. If Bryan couldn't have made a call and said, because that's one of the things that him and his dad brought up when they were pulled over here in Indiana.
Okay.
Was they brought up the shooting at the school, remember?
Yes. Right.
So I don't know if it's maybe it wasn't even possible for him to do that, but I just wondered I don't know. I just wondered about that. He just seemed kind of sneaky kind of guy that would do that to somebody else to cover his butt because.
Right. I still wonder. Oh, sorry, not to cut you off. I still wonder if could Bryan Kohberger have been the one calling for the noise complaints, right? On the victim's home, just to sort of, he's jealous. Maybe let's just say, for example, if he's jealous of their lifestyle, they're having more fun than him. He keeps calling on him. I don't know. I kind of wondered if that was possible. I guess time will tell.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't put it past him. Could be, because, I think that's why he was wanting to be an intern with the police.
Yeah.
So bad. So he knew everything that was going on and could see the reactions, and he's just a sick puppy.
I know what you mean. I thank you so much for calling and airing your thoughts and stuff tonight.
Well, thank you for listening to me.
You take care.
Yeah. You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye. 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 Okay. Thank you for mentioning my Aunt Suzanne. Oh, was that your aunt, Chris? We miss her and we want Barry Morphew to face the consequences for his crimes. He murdered my aunt. He's slowly sucking Andy in with his lies. Oh my gosh, that's your aunt. Yes, the Suzanne Morphew case is near and dear to my heart. It always will be. I hate the injustice there. I cannot stand the thought that Barry is not accountable for what I think we all know he did. It just makes me absolutely sick. So I am so sorry for your family's loss. And to have no sort of closure. That is the worst. But please know that we are totally with you in spirit. I mean, what a tragedy. Gosh. Thank you so much, EB. Thanks for this $5 super chat. Do you think Papa Roger and or Inside Looking was, in fact, Bryan? Do you think his description of the murders is true? Great work. EB, I did in my members only. I don't know if anybody wants to join the channel. I have a members only video in there. And I read all the Inside Looking posts. It's 2 hours of me reading these posts. And I'm tossed up. I tend to think it sounds like it absolutely could have been Bryan, but it also sounds like it could have been law enforcement because of some of the information. It just seems incredibly specific. But what kind of, what was I going to say about that? It was about Inside Looking. Oh, yeah, here's what I was going to say. What was super crazy to me is one of the posts said specifically, the killer is in these threads 100%. And it was written twice. And I was like, that's kind of creepy. This was on the Inside Looking account, by the way, the Reddit account. I truly think if between the two, Papa Roger or Inside Looking, I do think Inside Looking was more BK, if I had to guess. Papa Roger totally seems like it could have been BK also. But there's something about the ominous tone of Inside Looking that's just, it's nuts. So thank you for asking. That is my opinion. Inside Looking all the way. Could still be Papa Roger though, Angel D. Oh, and the no way. Yes. Here's what's very interesting. There's a post that Papa Roger did that had no way, all one word. And then there was a post of Bryan Kohberger, or not, excuse me, take that away, of Inside Looking that said no way also. And it's grouped one word together, like Angel D wrote, no way, all one word, NOWAY. I thought that was really bizarre. Also, thank you, Summer Rae, for becoming a member. That's awesome. I look forward to having you around. I'm trying to make more members, videos and stuff for you guys regularly. So thank you. That's fantastic. I look forward to seeing you in there. Okay, anybody want to call? The phone number is 602-456-6695. If you want to call and air your thoughts. I'm going to take probably 2 more phone calls and then we'll call it a night. Okay, Chris, there is huge corruption taking place. So this is Suzanne Morphew's, I think, nephew. There's huge corruption taking place. Thank you for your condolences. No innocent man on this earth doesn't attend the search for your wife if you're innocent. Amen. My opinion is not formed on his absence.
Can you hear me?
Okay,
now?
great. I can hear you. Yes. How are you?
Yeah. I live in the rural area, and it's you don't get no signal.
I understand that.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think, all the channels that was going berserk, like, oh, how did they find? Did they just pull this Bryan's name out of the hat? Well, now they served it down, laid it in everyone's face. This is what we done. Which to me, the tree and everything now is irrelevant because it 100% gets back to him.
Right.
It's only 0-2 matches that matters, and that's what matches. And the first time I heard it, it said it ain't talking about it was just on a snap. It was like in the sheet, like maybe like in the leather too. So something's making me think it might be drops of blood or something.
Oh,
or something wet to that nature.
That's very possible. I'm not positive what the source of DNA is. I guess just touch DNA, but could it be blood? I don't know.
It could be that's what I mean. Like if he touched it and it, I don't, because the way they said it is that like inside, like it was in the sheath, because I didn't say on the belt thing on the last one they dropped. It didn't say it just said inside the sheath. It didn't say that it was on the belt, on the button or the snap.
Yeah.
As far as I read.
Okay.
And another thing, the order, I think, which is, I think this is the most important thing and why everything happened the way it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Why the sheep was even left is he came in, he went up the steps, because to me, I mean, that was probably his target. Because everybody kept saying, oh, Kaylee and them slept together, but if you watch the video, and if you even watched that, Kaylee's bedding and everything was still at the place. She still had her stuff there. They was just bringing little things home at a time. Her bed was still in the place. And if you watch the video, you can see where Kaylee had been sleeping in that bed. And the sheet and cover was pulled back because her covers are white,
right,
color, and they're pulled back. And you can see like she had got out of bed. What I think she heard Maddie screaming. That's when she's like, someone's here. And she jumped up and went over there and seen Bryan attacking Maddie. And then he had attacked Kaylee because she seen him. And I believe he really did set up the whatever to make sure, who was awake or whatever the thing. Or he might not even been involved in that or whatever. But I believe he was coming back down and going to leave. And Zane was probably taking that food back into the kitchen, and he's seen her, and that's when the girl heard her say, oh, I'm not going to hurt you. I want to help you or something. And that's when all that ensued, and she went back there towards East and
you're talking about the DoorDash? Is that what you're talking about? Like the DoorDash?
I believe that's how she got left is because Kaylee walked in that room. Because I honestly don't believe Kaylee and Maddie was sleeping in a small bed. The rooms are so tiny.
I don't know,
Kaylee's
though.
Big bed and Murphy and the way she loved him. I think Murphy was probably in the cage or whatever, or in the bed with her or whatever, because the cover was pulled back. And the dad plainly stated that Kaylee's bedding and everything was still there.
Here's the thing, though. It's incredibly common when girls, let's say they go out drinking, they go to the bar. Yeah, so common to sleep in the same bed. Like, it's not. Yeah.
Because of the early on, the guy you posted the creepy thing on the screen, when he's in the stand-up motion and like she was running and she had to fist the front.
Right.
Which makes me think she entered the room, and that's why
gotcha.
her wounds was even deeper. Not to be graphic or whatever, but
okay.
It would be the angles would be different, and you know what I'm saying. I had to say the word. You know, it would be different kind of wounds.
Oh, different. Did you say different kind of wounds?
Yeah, the puncture wounds would be totally different than as of Maddie. That was laying in the bed, probably sleeping away, and she probably heard Maddie scream. And she's like, "There's someone here," and that's probably what the girl downstairs heard. And I think Haley just went over there, you know, thinking, "Oh, maybe Maddie's puking now, but I need to go help her, whatever," or you know, maybe what's his name came over, or you know, that's what she was thinking when she went in there, and that's what she's thinking. And that's why he got freaked out. He had to do Haley, and he left the sheet and was going down to leave and walked in as Zana was coming around to put her Jack in a box in the kitchen, and she's done with it or whatever. And he ran into her, and then she took off running, and he went after her. I said, "Oh, I'm here. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm here to help you." And he went in there, and that's where Ethan was too.
Wow.
You know, got busted up. That's my theory. That's what I'm thinking. Because I watched very closely, and the covers was pulled back on one side of the bed, on Kylie's bed. And I was like, someone has been sleeping in that bed.
Yeah.
And I just think that she got up because she heard commotion and didn't know if, you know, Maddie got sick or whatever.
Right.
And went over to help her. And that's why the wound was different. And so much
that
more.
Totally could be.
She was awake and fighting them. Right.
Well, I sure appreciate your thoughts tonight. Thanks for calling.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Let's see. If you'd like to call, I'll take one more phone call, 602-456-6695. And you know what, guys? Hold on for me 1 second. I'm going to grab something. Oh, I missed the call. Okay. I'm going to show you guys one more time. So this is a K-bar. This is my husband's K-bar. He got it as a gift from somebody, I think, a while back. This is where they're saying Bryan's DNA was found. It was on the button right here. So you undo that little button right there. You pull this out. It's a huge knife. It's very long, very serious, very, it feels durable. It just feels like a solid piece of steel, honestly. It's the only way I can describe it. It's very solid. Here is the whole sheath, so you can see it. The button right there. So it must have been just lying right next to Maddie, sort of under the comforter, and that's where they found it. So just so you can see it in its entirety, I wanted to grab it.
I want to talk again about the DNA, the info on that DNA and that sheath. Well, I'm wondering why some people are thinking that it was found, the sheath was found under the blanket. I keep hearing rumors about that, and I've never seen that, like in any of the documents or
it's new.
Anything.
Yeah, it's new information. I believe that was just discussed probably in the last 2 days ago, or in the last 2 days, and I think it was in those documents that came out about the DNA evidence. It got a little bit more specific, I think, about the location in which it was found.
What I want to talk about is Idaho and their gag order and their the way they're shutting down, you know, the trial, not allowing the cameras in the courtroom. Because I have to say, I am such a proponent of transparency when it comes to our legal system. And I think just like with, you know, the Suzanne Morrison case, we have such mistrust for the law
Yeah.
And Idaho's not doing us all any favors by not allowing cameras in the courtroom, you know, all these gag orders, not allowing the public to be part of the process. Because I really feel like we, the viewers, those of us in, you know, true crime and the law tubers, etc., I think we play a big part in keeping the system honest.
Yes.
If that makes sense, you know?
Oh, I think so too. Yeah.
Seriously, because I want Bryan Kohberger to have a fair trial. I personally did it, but if I were on the jury in his trial, I would insist that the prosecution prove it.
Yeah.
Even though I really right now I have this feeling he's as guilty as he comes.
Yeah.
But they still have to prove.
Yes.
I think that's important about our justice system. We want truth.
And transparency.
But I don't, you know, it's got to come about the right way.
Oh, I agree with you. Yes.
You know, the prosecution pulling tricks, I'm kind of resenting them for hiding. And I don't know if hiding is really the right word, but I feel like they are pulling tricks in not, you know, turning over everything to the defense and making the defense ask twice or three times for, you know, for disclosure, etc. I'm getting a little resentful of them for doing that. It makes me mistrust the system.
Right. It feels like they're playing games or something, you know, and this is not something to play games with. This is very dead serious, you know. It's not okay.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, I really enjoy your channel, and I always love when I see that live or when I see you have a new video out. So I'm glad I got a call through. So thank you for taking my call.
Oh, thank you so much for calling. I so appreciate it. And I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thanks. You too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. If you could do me a huge solid, could you hit the like button? Thank you so much for spending time with me and listening to these phone calls and the discussion and participating, everything. Thank you for anybody that helped be a moderator. I almost said modulator. Sorry. Moderator. Thank you for the super chats. Just everything, guys. And if you want to join my membership, be my guest, I'd love to have you. And we'll talk again soon. Have a great night, everybody. Bye.